Sociology. Today we're going to talk about a new concept. It is called cognitive dissonance. To explain it, basically it seems very, very simple. But once you kind of dive deeper into it, it's more complex, as well as it's this really simple kind of human device that explains a lot of really complex behaviors. And once you understand it, it can kind of make you aware of some of these unconscious things we accidentally do that end up driving a lot of our decisions that we make. But before we get into it, let's talk about one experiment that was done by the guy that created or discovered or whatever you want to call it, cognitive dissonance, a guy named Leon Festinger. In the 1950s, he did this experiment where he had people come to a room and they were told to walk up to this pegboard. So just a board of like literally pegs, just little pieces of wood, dowels on a board that you could spin. And he said, start at the top left. I want you to turn all these a quarter turn. And once you get done, so turn the top left one, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, the next one. Turn them all until you get to the bottom, then start again for 30 minutes. So they just turn these pegs. They weren't told why they were doing it. It's just part of the experiment. Turn the pegs for 30 minutes. It was very boring. That was the point of why they did it. So it was very boring. They were split into two conditions. Both of them, first of all, were told the same thing. They were all told the point of the experiment was they were lied to. This is not the actual point of the experiment, but it's kind of complicated, but bear with me. They were told the point of the experiment was preparatory mental set, which is just a fancy way of saying they were trying to find out if you were told it's fun, would you actually think it's more fun? If you were told it's boring, would you actually think it's more boring? Cool. But then the guy that was supposed to show up didn't show up. So it's a little abnormal, but would you be willing to tell the next person in line to kind of help us with this experiment that the next subject in line that the experiment was actually really fun? But here's where it branches. Here's where the experiment actually starts. You're either paid $1 for your time or you're paid $20. Now, this is in 1950s money, so let's do a little calculation of what this would actually be in today's money. At least according to usinflationcalculator.com, 1957 to 2020, $1 would be worth $9. So you're paid $9 to spend the next, hour of your life telling this guy that it's really fun. Or you're paid $20, which that is hard to believe. And I actually had to look it up on a separate government site, and apparently this is true. $20 now would be worth $185, which is an enormous amount of money. So of course you would do it for $20. Or they accept in both cases. So in the case of the $1, this guy was paid $1 to say to the next person, yeah, it was really fun. I actually enjoyed this. I hope you will too. Or he was paid $20 in 1957 money to say, yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed turning those pegs. Then this guy is asked afterwards how fun he thought it actually was. In which condition do you think he said it was more fun? In the $1 condition or the $20 condition? Now, common sense kind of tells us that it would be the $20 condition. The guy paid $20 would say that the actual experiment was more fun. But the experiment shows us over and over that it was actually the $1 that he said, yeah, actually, I wasn't even telling a lie. The experiment was fun. I was just telling the next guy the truth. And that complicated experiment is because of cognitive dissonance, and I'll explain why. Cognitive dissonance is just any two attitudes that you have to agree with each other. If they don't agree, you have dissonance. So let me give you an example. If you think, I am a cool guy, for one belief, so you hold that, I'm a fun, cool guy. And you also believe, or you not believe, but you realize that you have lots of friends. That's not dissonant. That makes sense. If you're a cool, friendly guy, you have lots of friends, excellent. Not dissonant. No reason to justify these beliefs. However, if we change one of these beliefs, so let's say we change this one, no friends. All of a sudden, that is what they call dissonant. Now you can fix this a number of ways. You could just accept the dissonance. You can say, I think I'm cool, I have no friends. That's okay. People don't do that, usually. You have to fix the dissonance, says cognitive dissonance theory. And it'd be a lot harder to change having friends. So I'm a cool guy, I don't have any friends, Like, I'll try and make friends. More than likely, you're going to come up with some sort of a justification for why you have no friends. Generally, you like to think you're a good person. But one justification you could make is people in my school are stupid. They're stuck up. I'm too cool for the school. I'm too cool for the people that I'm around. I guess you could say you're not worthy of having friends, then you'd spiral into some sort of a depression. That wouldn't be positive. Typically, you're going to explain away the fact that you have no friends. If you, like, it could be something like college applications. If you apply to OU, you want to go to OU, you don't get accepted to OU, you might fix that by saying, OU's the worst. I didn't want to go there anyway. I'm too good for that school. What is college? College is overrated for one thing. You can fix it a number of ways, but something like that. Ask a girl out and she says yes. Fantastic. No dissonance. No justification required. But if you ask a girl out and she says no, now all of a sudden you have to say, I didn't like her anyway. It's best that I focus on my academics. You got to justify it somehow. Now here's some ways that it can get a little bit worse. Is that you can have cognitive dissonance turn you away from religion, away from Catholicism. You can have it a lot of political beliefs are because of cognitive dissonance. And let's go to religion. So with religion, if you believe on the one hand, I'm a Catholic, but your second experience is, I had a bad experience in whatever. I had a bad mass once. A priest was mean to me. I had a bad theology class, whatever it is. Then cognitive dissonance happens because you say, Catholicism is great. However, I had this bad experience. Okay, that creates dissonance. And a lot of times, one of the things you can do is you can just throw out the first one. So you can just totally erase the Catholic part. So you say, I'm not a Catholic. And then that makes it okay from a cognitive dissonance standpoint. You say, I had a bad experience, but I'm not a Catholic. Or the more healthy thing to do would be to say, I am a Catholic. However, humans are human, and sometimes you have bad experiences literally anywhere. Therefore, I'm still a Catholic. Kind of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater thing. In politics, whichever political side that you're on, if you're on the one side or the other side, I don't even name the sides, but if you're on side number one and you see all the people on side number one saying some things and you're like, I don't know if I quite agree with that, that creates some dissonance. And you can fix that by saying, you know what, maybe the issue is a little bit more complex than I'm letting on, and maybe there's a little bit of in the middle is the reality and this nuance. Or you can say, you can just go ahead and accept what your team wants to believe and say, well, that must be true then. I guess I believe that too. That fixes the dissonance. But if you have to, instead of diving into one of the teams in politics, if you have to wrestle with things like, maybe my team isn't completely right in this area, or maybe they're oversimplifying an issue. That creates dissonance, and that is tough to deal with, which creates obvious problems in the political atmosphere. I have a worksheet for you, and it is this. So I need everybody, this will be on your Google Classroom, I need everybody to create these three unique situations. So I want you to give me 2 pairs of attitudes that are dissonant and one that is not dissonant. Here are some examples. You can't use this that I'm now saying because I'm saying it, so you can't use it. But what you could write for attitude 1, attitude 2 for dissonant would be, I already said several, but something like I applied to OU, I didn't get into OU. So those would be dissonant. So for dissonant, you'd say yes. So I want to get into OU, or I applied to OU and I did not get accepted to OU. 2 attitudes. Dissonant, yes. Justification, you can fix that a number of ways. One way you can fix it is saying, I never actually wanted to go to OU, or college is overrated, college is stupid. You got to fix it somehow. So that'd be one way you could do for dissonant. For not dissonant, you could do something like what I said earlier, where like, I'm a cool person and I have lots of friends. Great. Or you could say, I want to go to OU, I got into OU. Fantastic. For that, you'd write dissonant no, and you don't have to justify it because it doesn't need justification. So anyway, that's cognitive dissonance. The next day, we'll go into specific types of cognitive dissonance. See you next time.